You're listening to Perfectly Normal. This is a podcast where I bring you love, courage, and connection. I'm your host, Michelle Kuei. I'm a confidence and leadership coach where I work with negative self-talkers to get them to believe in the talent that they have in reaching their full potential in both personal and professional life. I'm the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. It's a coaching and seminar company. Welcome to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode. This week, let's talk about negativity. So I am inspired to talk about this topic because recently on my Facebook profile, there's a lot of people who's following me, and I've been really active in terms of, trying to keep everyone engaged. And I ask a lot of thought-provoking questions that you can see on a daily basis. So if you haven't followed me already, go ahead and follow me. And you can find me actually on the personal profile as Coach Michelle Kuei, or you can follow me on my business page, which is Life Coaching by Elevate. I will have both linked in the episode note today. So I've been posting a lot of thought-provoking questions on my personal page because that is how I learn more about you. And also it inspires me to have topics to talk about because I like to know what's going on in your life, in your world, and that maybe I can share some insight of what I had experienced in the past or in current present condition that we are all in, which is the pandemic. And also there's a lot of things that hasn't really worked out in the direction that we would like to see. So for example, economy, right? So economy is really affecting a lot of us. And I know a lot of my clients and prospects, they've been coming to me, and one of the really big holdback in signing up with coaching is that we don't know where we're going, what direction we're heading to. So there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of, I don't even know when I'm going to be able to pay my rent, let alone signing up with a coaching program with you. So, which is totally understandable because a lot of us are still trying to work through that fear of uncertainty, of the unknown. So I get it. And this is why I have different format that you can follow, and you can still get the benefit of coaching with me. So there's a group that I recently put out. So every Wednesday and Saturday, I'm having this positivity circle. And what we do during those positivity circle is that I wanted to make it readily available for anyone who would like to have a safe and supported place to share our thoughts. I mean, if you look around, there's a lot of people talking about ideas and opinions, and sometimes those opinions get really, we get judged by having these opinions, and whether it's Black Lives Matter or whether or not to wear a mask, the minute that you are freely sharing your opinion, sometimes you get shut down by people, and people are like, well, you're wrong and I'm right, and people want to be right all the time. So I wanted to create these positivity circles so that it would be a place where you can freely share your ideas, share your thoughts without being judged. And I think it's really important for all of us to be able to have a decent conversation together without being judged and feeling judged. So that's happening every Wednesday and Saturday. So on Wednesday, it's happening at 3:00 in the afternoon, Pacific time. And Saturday, I have to remember what time I said. I believe it's sometime in the afternoon as well. So, but you can find out more information on both events, both dates and time on my private Facebook group. So follow me on my Facebook profile and also my business page so that you can actually get the information firsthand without waiting for my podcast to release to tell you this. So the reason why we are surrounded, so we look around today's world, we're surrounded by a lot of negativity. And those negativity, sometimes it's because we all carry our limiting belief. We all have our ideas of what needs to be right or what is right for us. And these are all usually based on our perception, our level of consciousness. So for someone who may not have practiced or used to practice that level of consciousness, you may find a disconnection with them. So during your conversation, you may be, coming off as a place where, you would like to have a decent conversation, a meaningful conversation. But when the minute that you share your idea, that the person who's receiving it may not see it as, well, why are you sharing this with me, right? And they may not perceive it as, yeah, let's have a decent discussion with this, and maybe we can come up with a solution, right? They may not be solution focused while you are. So there's a disconnect in the way that we communicate with each other, the way that we understand each other. And I really truly believe that right now the world really needs a lot of empathy and understanding, because you look around, we all have our own experience, and depending on what our experience was, we may see and deal with the situation very differently. So some people, they go onto my Facebook profile and they see all these positive things, and the comment that I got was, well, you're just gaslighting all the issues that we have around. Yes, that may be true to you, but is it a fact? No, maybe it's not. Just because I don't talk about certain issue doesn't mean that I'm avoiding it. I'm still addressing it. It's just that my approach of addressing it is very different than yours. And I may not approach it as, you know what, I need to be angry. I am angry, but I don't need to say it out loud. I can have a better, more constructive way of dealing with this anger. So for example, which I shared with you a couple of episodes ago. I had this woman who came onto my Facebook page, and she was making comment about how I'm gaslighting the whole Black Lives Matter thing. And my take is that I am not gaslighting anything. You're free to share what you believe is what you see, and that's based on your own perception, and that's based on your energy that you're carrying into the conversation. I'm going to approach it from a higher level of energy. And I covered a lot of these energy leadership in my previous early episode. There's one, I think, episode that was dedicated to energy leadership. You're welcome to go back and listen to that, but just quickly summarize what energy leadership is. So there are basically 7 different ways of how we can look at life and life circumstances. And you can apply this energy leadership to all case scenario, whether it's your personal life, your business life, any aspects of your life. You can use the same approach in being curious about how you feel, and what is it that you are doing, the action that you're taking, how is it related to the way that you feel, the way that you're thinking. So we have 7 different ways of approaching things in our life. The first 2 levels are the lowest catabolic energy, or the negative energy that we usually know. And we see this in workplace, in our life, personal life, all the time. And the first level is usually the victim energy, which is a place where you believe that all the circumstances is happening to you and only to you. You are the victim of this event. You're the victim of this situation. Which is totally understandable. And a lot of us actually go into that energy, that level of victim energy right away. So coming from my personal experience, I thought this car accident only happened to me, and it would only happen to me. So I was in that victim mentality, a victim mode, where I was being the effect of the scenario, of the situation, of the circumstances in life. Now, moving on to the next level, which you probably will see a lot, is the anger or the conflict energy. So you go into a conversation, immediately this person is thinking they are right and you are wrong. So people at this level, they tend to approach things as a blaming. Yeah, who do I need to blame, and what is wrong? Who did what wrong? And you see this a lot actually at workplace. A lot of people who go to work, they sense this blaming energy, right? You go to a meeting, and who is to blame when something goes wrong, or when the projects start falling off short? Then the first question you ask is, who is to blame? Who is guilty of this? Who do I need to punish for this situation. So you see that in the workplace a lot, and that is the level 2 energy, which is a lot of conflict, a lot of anger, resentment, or blaming energy. Then we move on to the third level of energy, which is the forgiveness energy or tolerance. So it can also show up in at work or in our personal life. So say, for example, if your mom, your wife, you may be at home where you are in a situation where you don't feel you have much choice, and you got married, you have kids, and it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis, but you don't have any choice. So a lot of it has to do with putting up, I am putting up with all this because I don't have any choice. So your choice is very limited, although you do have a choice, right? You can choose not to do the laundry, not to cook, but ultimately you have that feeling of, I'm just going to be putting up with this and just be done with it so I can move on my day. Or it can actually be seen, it can actually show up as forgiveness. I only have myself to blame, so I'm going to take responsibility in doing all these laundry, and I'm going to take responsibility for cooking the meal even though I don't like it. So your choice is still very limited, but you're approaching it as, well, it is what it is, and let me just get through it, and I'm going to forgive people for putting me into this situation because I only have myself to blame. So you start taking that personal responsibility. Now, moving on to your next choice would be the level 4 choice, which is coming out from a place of love and caring. So a lot of people who are operating or having this level of perception, sometimes I call the energy as our perception. So you can also think of it as choices that we make depending on what type of perception that we carry into a circumstances or into a situation that you face. So the level 4 would be the caring and the loving perception. And in this choice, this perception, you begin to see things as, I want to give, and you are here to contribute to everyone, to the world, to all these people around you. So if you're a mom, you tend to look at, washing the laundry. Well, they're kids. They're my kids. How can I say no to them, right? So you put them first before you put yourself first. And oftentimes, if you don't have a healthy boundary, you start really get overwhelmed because you keep giving to all these people around you, but you really retain yourself very little. And so it kind of throw you off on the balance. So just be careful. If you tend to be very loving and caring, definitely we wanted to consider setting up a healthy boundary for yourself. Now, moving on to the next level would be the opportunity perception. So during the opportunity perception, you may approach a situation as more of, how do I create a win-win situation for everybody? I want to be in that conversation and talking about what to do, whether to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. How can I create a win-win situation for everybody? So if you're a person who doesn't believe in wearing a mask, you may be approaching to the conversation with this level 5 perception by thinking, well, I really don't have any data to support not wearing a mask, and I don't have any data to support to wear a mask. I don't know whether or not it works or not, but we're all human beings, so I'm going to practice my empathy to everyone. So I'm going to put on the mask regardless. So you may approach it as, I really don't believe it, but I'm going to create some kind of type of win-win situations for all of us so that we can all live through this together. So that's more of an opportunity. And for business entrepreneur, they tend to carry a lot of this win-win type of perception in doing their business, in approaching their clients. You see it all the time with business people. Now, the next level would be the level 6. Level 6 is the higher level of perception. And this is the place where you start seeing things as we are one together, and that there is no difference between you and I, and we are all together in this. So when it comes to Black Lives Matter, we approach it as all lives matter. Right. So you might find yourself in a conversation where you are believing in all life matter. And when you approach someone who may operate at a lower level of energy, they may not see and feel what you are saying. So that's where the conversations start to kind of develop into a conflict, because while you are saying all lives matter, it's not saying that Black life doesn't matter, right? But the person who's hearing it may hear it very differently. So it all depends on what type of perception and energy that you carry into that conversation. Now, how do you resolve it? So level 6 typically will approach it as, we are in this as one, we are a whole. So that's approach it by understanding each other, having more love and empathy for each other. While other lower level of energy, they may approach it as, who do I need to blame in this type of scenario? And sometimes at level 2, that anger, that blaming energy is very appropriate. If someone is attacking you, you do want to protect, you do want to get angry. So depending on what situation you are in, using a lower level of energy or a lower level of perception, the way that you choose can be very appropriate. And that's how we operate. But how long do you stay at each level would depend on your level of consciousness, how quickly you tap out of that negativity or tap out of that negative level of perception will depend on how your ability to make conscious choice. And the way that you make a conscious choice is by having that higher level of consciousness, that you are able to giving a more thorough and more broader overview of what life is about, without judgment, without holding anything that's based on your fear, that's based on things that you are, the scarcity mindset. So how do you gain that higher level of consciousness? That is the work that we do. So that was level 6. We start seeing things as a whole, as one. Now, the highest level of energy or perception that's already available to you, all these 7 levels are available to you in any given situation, under any circumstances. You get to choose which perception that you want to approach your situation. So you can choose from a very negative perception, or you can actually choose from a higher level of consciousness, higher level of perception. So the highest level is level 7. At level 7, you start to approach things from a wisdom perspective. So wisdom perspective meaning, well, you look at things that's changing in life. There's a rhythm, there's a flow in all life, right? So there's good days, there's bad day, and there's good moment, there's good years, and there's years that may have a lot of challenge and obstacles and things that may change. There's a lot of disaster that happening, but it's all part of how life is. Life is a circle of changes. And so without putting too much of a judgment into each situation or circumstances, you are approaching life from an observer approach, rather than being the victim, being the person who's blaming, being the caregiver. You are approaching life at a more at ease, and you actually get to choose, when do I want to be negative and when do I want to be positive? So you have that freedom of choosing when you want to use the level of energy, and that is wisdom, and that is the highest level of perception that's available to you that you can choose. So if you notice that you're surrounded by a lot of negative people, and all they do all day long is complain, blaming, and all they do is about being in that very negative mode. Something is always happening to them. They're always playing the victim. Now you have the knowledge to understand, why are they the way they are? And now here's the thing. You get to choose how you want to respond to them. So you can choose to approach someone who is in that victim energy. You can approach them by exercising your care and love, right? So a lot of time when we see someone who is in that victim, they're being the victim, you can approach them by giving them a lot of care, a lot of love. And you can also approach them by giving them a lot of, create some opportunity for them to say, hey, I know this is what I heard from other people, where they start getting into exercise, and it helps them to boost their confidence, it boosts their energy. What do you think about trying this? So you are approaching them, and by giving them and sharing opportunity with them, so that maybe, if they do decide to tap out of their victim mode, then you are just giving them a helping hand to allow them to be able to come out of their negativity. And guess what? You actually just contributed to the benefit, the mutual benefit that we can create for every single one of us. So the idea of, us in the whole world is that we actually use our strength, we use our talent to help each other out, to lift each other up. So the fact that I am here and sharing all this information with you on a podcast is so that you can actually gain the knowledge that you need to help other people. And so I hope that, you're not just listening to the episode, you're actually learning from this episode that how much of the perception are already available to you. And when you approach someone who's in a very negative state, you can actually use this approach. And by using different level of perception, how you interact with them, you can actually help them to get out of that negativity. Now, mind you, some people, they're really they're used to being in that negative state, and they're not ready to move forward yet, which is, a lot of my clients who's not ready to sign up, sometimes they're just not ready. They are not ready to move forward, and that's okay, because we all travel at a different pace on our journey. We all come to a place where finally we decided, what, I want to do something very different that I did yesterday. And that's okay. It may take some years to come. It may take just, a couple of weeks to decide to change, but you have to allow that person to live through the life experience. You don't want to help them by forcing them to come out when they're not ready. And that's always been my mission, that I don't want to convince someone, I don't want to push someone to sign up a program with me when they are not ready. I always give them that time and space to, this is something that's going to affect the rest of your life. I want you to really think about whether or not you want to commit to this. If you do, great, that's signed up, that's get you signed up, that's get you started. But if you're not ready for whatever reason that's holding you back, that's okay. You always know where to find me. I will always be here. And when you're ready, then we can move forward. But if you're not, let's take some time and just really work through our life experience. Because I don't believe in forcing people to sign up a program, because that's not really an effective way of doing coaching. And I don't believe in that. So if someone who is not ready in your circle, in your life, where they're still being very negative and they're not ready to move on, don't force them. Give them the time and space. Let them experience life. You don't want to kind of provide a shortcut for them without having that experience, because I believe every experience in our life is really important, whether it's positive, it's negative. The life experience is here for a reason, and we need to learn the lessons for ourselves rather than having someone to learn that for us or tell us how to live our life. I don't believe that works. So just to summarize, if you do have a lot of negative people around you, it's really up to you on how you want to interact with them, how you want to respond and react to all the negativity. You get to choose how you want to respond to them. How do you want to react to them? You can approach it as the victim. It always happened to me. They're always negative. Why do I always get these negative people? Or you can be very, next level would be angry, right? I told that person so many times, and that person just doesn't want to come out. I don't know what to do anymore. So that's kind of like an anger energy. Or you can just, next level would be level 3, right? You can approach it as, well, it is what it is. I just have a tendency to attract these negative people. What choice do I have, right? So that's about that tolerance. It is what it is. Or your next level would be giving them love and caring. And we all have lived through that stage of seeing ourselves as the victim or blaming others or just putting up with things, right? So practicing more compassion is the next level. The following level would be creating a win-win, right, for everyone. We're all in this together. How can I help that person and helping me? By helping that person to tap out of their negativity, it actually give me, my ears, some peace. So that would be a win-win situation for you. And then you're following the higher level would be like the wisdom and how do we create this world as one. These are all available to you, how you want to respond to those people who are very negative around you, especially nowadays, with the pandemic, with the election. You're probably trying to avoid all these people in your life who are very negative, who tend to complain a lot, which I can totally relate because I have those people in my life at work, especially. It's always busy. We're always blaming each other. We're always, why is my manager picking on me? So there's a lot of things that's going on in everyday life. But at the end of the day, we all want to be happy. We all want to experience life to the fullest. And we all have that vision and goal in places where we want to be. So how do we get there without too much of work and effort? And life should be easy flowing rather than, keep getting and trying to make it. We actually can make it by changing the way that we think, changing the way that we feel, and also changing the way that we act. So life doesn't have to be hard. And this is something that I didn't believe years ago. And now I can see it every single day. Life doesn't have to be hard. And a lot of time, since I have this holistic approach of talking to clients and really organic way of getting clients, what I've been doing is, a lot of time I just let them experience. You got to allow people to experience life, moving along on their own pace. You can't rush through things, which is why sometimes, it's a big challenge for me to sign up clients right away. And I really value quality over quantity. And I truly believe that by doing so, by allowing people to flow through their life experience, and when they're ready, they will come to me. And having that approach is really working out great for me because the clients that I attract are really, they're committed, they're ready to work. And it's just it works out so much better than trying to force things to happen. And I use this approach to all aspects of my life. I don't want to force things to happen. I want things to flow organically. Which is why a lot of time I don't even talk about my podcast a lot when I'm on social media, when I'm on interviewing by other podcasters. I don't really advertise my podcast. I want things to just organically flow, and people will find out, what is it that I am about, and what do I have to contribute to the world. And I believe that how you show up in everything that you do will attract the people who need to come into your life. So just allow life to happen and just go with the flow. It would be so much easier if we just take a lighter approach and just go through our day lighthearted and having that feeling of gratitude. And I think the world would just be a lot more beautiful if we can all share that idea and just kind of spread this idea to everyone. And hopefully by doing so, it may take some years and years to do this, but eventually, hopefully everyone's level of consciousness will be elevated and we will see less and less negativity in our life. So this is my thoughts, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast and that you are willing to share with the people that you know, and hopefully they would be able to, get something out of this podcast and what I share. So that would be it for this week. And hopefully you will enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening. In order for this conversation to continue, I would like to invite you to join my private Facebook group, The Confidence Lab for Remarkably Courageous People. This is where we can continue this conversation to bring more love, courage, and connection in helping each other and supporting each other in moving forward in our lives. If you found value in this show, I would appreciate if you can give me a rating on iTunes or Spotify, or simply share this show with a friend who may benefit from hearing it. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. If you'd like to learn more about what I do as a coach, please visit my website at elevatelifecoaching.org or shoot me an email. See you on the next show.